Hey guys, this is Dan. I wanted to share my story of September 11th, 2001, on the 20th anniversary, today, 2021. Um, my wife, who we were just dating at the time in 2001, but my wife, Jennifer, and I were visiting our family friend, Aunt Winnie and Aunt Denise, in Brooklyn, New York. They lived in Bay Ridge Parkway. And we were visiting, we were on vacation. We were really looking forward to going to New York. I was super excited about showing Jennifer New York City. She had never been there before, and it was really just super exciting for me to show her around. And one of the things that I had discussed with her is going to the top of the World Trade Center. Um, she wasn't really into that. She's not really in the heights. But having been there in the sixth grade for a field trip and being outside on the top of the South Tower in 1986, I was like, hey, you know what? It's pretty awesome. I need to take her to do that because that was like a once in a lifetime thing. So visiting some friends of mine, we went to the Guggenheim and bought what was called, I don't know if this is still around, but at the time we bought a city pass. And a city pass is essentially a pass to a bunch of popular places that you can get a discount. Statue of Liberty, the Guggenheim, top of the World Trade Center. So we bought it at the Guggenheim with the anticipation that we were going to go to the top of the World Trade Center observation deck on September 11th, the morning of September 11th. I told my mom, I told everybody I knew that we were doing this, and super excited. And then I remember going to my Aunt Winnie's house, and she took us out to a restaurant that night, September 10th, and we were watching the Giants game on TV. I'll always remember that. I want to say it was called the Griswold's Bar. I think that's what it was called. But anyway, that's besides the point. So we stayed the night, woke up. I told Jen, hey, I want to get going early. Got to go. A lot of people do this, so we got to get there early. We got to be first in line. That way we get it over with, and we have the rest of our day because we wanted to do other stuff. Jen was, hey, it was Fashion Week, and Jen was making sure that she was ready because it's Fashion Week. So she was prepping, and we were running late. So I wasn't happy. And I was like, damn it, we're not going to make it. We're not going to get there early. Maybe we'll get there around 9 or 10. So my aunt actually is someone that owns property and a house in Brooklyn, Bay Ridge Parkway, Brooklyn. And one of the few that still owns a house there, and or at least an older house. And so we were hanging out in the backyard, just kind of talking, walking around, and I was just waiting on Jen to finish getting ready so we could get going. We were only going to be at her house for that night, and my mom calls her landline, and I remember pretty vividly my Aunt Winnie talking to my mother on the phone, and Aunt Winnie's like, "No, he's sitting right here." Like I could hear my mother on the phone being very, very frantic. And to find out that a plane had crashed into the World Trade Center, the first one, which is the one with the antenna, the North Tower, and I told my mom's like, my Aunt Winnie told my mom, no, he's sitting right here, it's fine, everything's good, he hasn't left yet. and they weren't really sure what was going on. They thought maybe it was a smaller plane, but it was a really big explosion, so they think it was a bigger plane, and they didn't know what was going on. So we all went into their living room and turned on the television, and we're watching it, and we're like, "Oh my God, what in the world is going on?" So I went upstairs and told Jen. I was like, "Hey, we may have to." We may have to run a little bit late anyway, so but don't worry, the plane crashed into the other tower, not the one with the observation deck. You know, times like this, you don't really think. But I said, it's probably just going to be delayed. They got to figure out what's going on. Anyway, we go back downstairs and watch the other plane smash into the south tower, and that's when I went upstairs and I said to Jen, I was like, we're not going to be able to go. Come down here. Stop getting ready. We're not going anywhere. Something really bad is going on, and we go downstairs and we watch the south tower fall, and we're just sitting there in disbelief that something like that could actually happen. My Aunt Winnie was she watched TV on an antenna, so she had cable TV, but it was only for premium channels. So local news and just news in general, she had a antenna. So we were watching local news on the antenna, and we watched one of these buildings fall, and it's just not believable when you see it happen. And it's even crazier. I mean, we're only like, I don't know how far away we were as the crow flies, but from Lower Manhattan, but Bay Ridge is pretty close. I think driving it's like 5 miles or something. Of course, it's Brooklyn, so it takes forever to get there. But we're sitting there and we're just watching and watching and watching, and all of a sudden that the North Tower finally falls, and that's the one with the antenna on it, and that's when we lose reception. That's when we lose our cellular connection. And I remember standing there trying to get a better signal, and we couldn't. I was holding the antenna, and back in the day, even though it was only 20 years ago, it was like back in the day you would stand there and you would hold the antenna. It's like, okay, let's see if we can make this work. And I remember thinking to myself, why don't you have cable? But she didn't, so I was like, well, yeah, she doesn't. So, what do you do? But it was quite unbelievable. I remember having, after a little while, we were watching really bad reception on the television, and we tried watching what she had on cable, and it wasn't very good. So we decided to leave and go for a walk. It was later in the afternoon, and there's a pier down near the Hudson at the end of Bay Ridge Parkway. And we could see the smoke going all the way across Staten Island, and everybody was just in disbelief. Everybody was quiet. There were so many people down there just watching it. We took some pictures. We didn't take a lot of pictures back. We didn't have a digital. I mean, there were no iPhones, no Androids. There was no. The digital cameras were pretty slim. We actually bought a digital camera after that incident. We had some pretty basic cameras. We were carrying something that was called a 110 camera. It was like a long, flat camera, and it took horrible pictures. But we walked up to a delicatessen and a deli. Delicatessen. We walked up there, and I remember seeing this guy telling his story about walking back from Manhattan, and he was just completely covered from head to toe in ash and dust, and I just remember standing there at the cash register just looking at him going, oh my God. And I just don't even know, like, I just don't know. I don't, if it's a horrible thing that happened. We stayed at my aunt's house for days, and so I remember cell service finally being restored. I was able to get cell phone messages off of my phone. I remember specifically getting one message from a friend named Jim. That message was very much he thought I was gone, because I do remember talking to him about going to the top of the World Trade Center, and I could tell that he probably left that message um, thinking I was there, thinking I might have been on the top of the damn World Trade Center. Um, he was at the end of it. He was crying, and I was crying too. I wish I saved it, but I never did. I remember a neighbor of Aunt Winnie's talking about how they were waiting for someone to come home who had worked there or near there, and I don't think they ever came home. When cell service was restored, I also was at the time. I called the company I was working with. I remember talking to this guy named T, and I jokingly said to him, I was like, what's funny? These fighter jets keep circling the island, and sometimes I feel like we're in a war zone. And he was just dead silent. And he goes, Dan, I hate to tell you this, but you actually are in a war zone. And which is one of the things that you just don't. The media doesn't. I think the media doesn't do a good justice for, is that when you're in it, it's very different. It's, you're in survival mode. You're in just make the best of it mode. You make jokes. You try to, get by. You're not sitting there watching the news in constant fear that, oh my God, something bad might happen to you. Something bad has already happened to you. And I wish the media would do a better job of that. That's for sure. I don't think the fear in media is great. That's a matter of opinion. But it's just different. We did try to leave Brooklyn at one point in time, and when we tried to leave, we were sitting on the road to Verrazano to go over the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, and all of a sudden the traffic all stopped, and all we saw were these helicopters just flying around the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, and we saw some fighter jets going around, and we're like, oh shit, what the hell's going on? And finally we realized that they thought somebody was going to blow up the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, and they turned us all around, and we went back, and we stayed another day or two at Aunt Winnie's house, and eventually we were finally able to leave. But at the end of the day, that's my story. That's what it is. It's nothing crazy. But it's my story. It's our story. Jennifer and I's story from 2001. It could have been a much different story if Jen didn't take her time. I appreciate that she took her time to get ready for Fashion Week. I really do, because it would have been a much different story. It might have been a story I wouldn't be sitting here telling you about. I'm thoroughly grateful for everybody I've met in the last 20 years, all the paths that I've crossed, the lessons I've learned, and I've learned a lot. Man, I'm not happy with the direction our country's going. I always remember that the thing that everybody always said is never forget. I even had a sticker, a magnet, that said never forget, and it had the Trade Center on it. And it's like, I think, looking back on the last 20 years, I think just seeing where our country was and where we are now, it's like, I really think that never forget does, the saying never forget doesn't just have to do with the towers and forgetting that they fell. Never forget, I think, and I believe that It's that we should never forget that our differences is what makes us stronger. Our differences is what connects us and binds us together. It's what created our country, is our differences. It's our hope to be free, free of people telling us what to do. At the end of the day, these terrorists are trying to tell us what to do, and they're trying to force it down our throat. And they're doing it by making us hate each other. And hate has no place. Hate doesn't have any, there's no winning there. Never forget how our country is stronger because of our differences. Thanks for hearing me. Stay well.